Hey YouTube, it's Faye, and for today's video, I'm gonna show you this. AKA my super fun Easter Sunday project. So I modified this super cheap engine cradle to be able to hold my 7M. And since my build is like slightly on hold right now while I wait for my new CNC camshaft from Brian Crower, I still wanted to like move forward on this project in some way. And I know that eventually, I hope I'm gonna finish this engine, so I'm gonna have to bring it home at some point. So I figure, well, I might as well start preparing for that now. So to do that, I bought this engine cradle from Hill Country Performance and Machine, and it's actually designed for a small block Chevy, which are so common. I mean, these cradles are like a dime a dozen, they're super cheap. And obviously the mounting points are not the same, so it's gonna take a little bit of modification, but that's all right. Actually, at the end of last year, I went ahead and finally replaced my welders that were stolen, and I upgraded to this super sweet Lincoln Powermig 260 welder. It is awesome and so user-friendly, and as you know, I don't claim to be a fantastic welder. Like, I don't have any formal training, I just sort of learned on the job, but I do enjoy welding, and I don't know, this welder has made like all my welding projects a lot easier, because I'd say like the biggest issue for me is like how to set up the machine. Like once I get going and someone sets it up for me, like I can just go for it. But this has made the process super easy. So I will do a review of that welder at some point for sure, because I really want to show that to you guys. I've been practicing with it and been getting kind of comfortable. So been doing more fabrication projects around the shop, which is pretty cool. So this is one of them. So all right, the time has come. Let's make this thing. The first thing that I had to do was grab one of my spare 7M blocks for mock-up and install the motor mounts. I know what you're thinking. Wait, spare 7M blocks? You're looking for a 7M. Nah, don't get excited. These are all non-turbos. So I've got many spares laying around, and I dug one out of storage and got it off of the stand, which took a little bit more work than I was expecting. I inherited this engine stand from a friend who works at a local dealership, and it had been sitting in a corner for quite some time, sort of got abandoned, and then my friend was told to dispose of it, so she gave it to me. It needs a little bit of work, but this stand is solid. It's actually one of my favorite engine stands. Then I lowered the engine block down to the level of the cradle and began taking some eyeball measurements. And it was at this point that I realized that the motor mounts were a little bit too tall in order to properly line up to the mounting points on the engine cradle as easily as possible. And I also honestly did not want the center of gravity that high. I definitely wanted like the weight to be as low down on the cradle as possible so that it would be as stable as possible. So what I ended up doing was removing the insulated portion of the motor mount and just leaving those engine mount brackets on the side of the block. All right, so I think the first thing I might do is cut these off and weld them on like so they line up with these. And then from there, see where the back sits on here? And then figure out where the motor mounts are gonna line up with these, and then make a bracket from there. So then I cut off those two rear mounting points, bolted them to the side of the block, and then welded them back onto the stand in their new position. And I also chose the height of those rear brackets sort of based upon the height of the motor mounts to make the next step as easy as possible. All right, so clearly I'm not the best welder, but I never pretend to be, so let's just ignore that. But it's gonna be structurally sound. So I've got these two brackets welded into place, and now I'm gonna put my plates here. And I just found this piece of metal, which I'm gonna make a supporting brace out of. So, that's the plan. I gotta get this engine out of the way so I can weld those next. So I had these spare metal plates laying around that I had left over from another project. So I extended the engine cradle arms to support the factory 7M motor mount brackets with those. And since they extended a little bit further beyond the supporting posts on the engine cradle, I want a little bit more of reinforcement. So that's where my weird little yard sign metal brackets come into play. Okay, so now the fan is really loud. I don't know if you can hear this, but I've got this piece of a yard sign that I just cut off. I don't know how well it's gonna weld, but we'll see. I just want something to support this piece since it's a little bit further out. So let's see how this goes. All right, so here's what I've got so far. I think it's gonna be all right. All right, that's awesome. Check that out. And then of course, still have these hooks here, or these holes here where I can put some straps, these holes here where I could put some straps, and it's just resting like super nicely on the motor mounts. Oh. Now I think I'm just gonna take it back off and sand this down and paint it. I don't know. I guess I'll just make it all red if I have some red around here, but I'm really happy with that. Alright, so check it out. Here it is, all painted. I'm super proud of it, you guys. I don't know, I feel like it looks really profesh, and if you saw this, I don't know, maybe just sitting on the floor of my shop, you would think that I bought it this way. Maybe not if you saw some oil welds from this angle, but that's cool. The last thing I'm gonna do, just because I don't want like metal on metal, obviously like you can tell that I removed the motor mounts on the block. I sent them off to get powder coated. Once that happens, I don't want any damage to come. I don't want the paint to scrape off here. So I'm gonna just make a little insulating pad here with this second skin. I don't know, I really like this stuff, and it sticks really well to the inside of my Supra. I'm doing some work to the trunk of my Supra right now, so you'll see that eventually. I'm doing my battery relocation. I will make an entire video about it eventually. But for now, while this is all clean, I'm gonna go ahead and, this is not science, people. I'm just gonna eyeball it. I love these scissors. I bought these recently, and I'm a huge fan of them. That's like about the same size there. Cool. Is that the same size there? Whoa, it's like it was meant to be. There, nice. I bet that's gonna hold into place absolutely perfectly. Look how nice that looks. I'm so stoked with it. It's funny because I normally think of like second skin. Whenever I think of this product, I always think of like moleskin, you know, that stuff that you put on your feet to prevent blisters when you're hiking or whatever. So in this case, I mean, it's gonna be a second skin, but instead of like my actual skin, it's gonna be a second skin to protect the newly powder coated bases of my engine mount brackets. So I think it's gonna be nice and helpful, and also provide a little bit of insulation. It's not gonna be just metal on metal, so there's not gonna be any weird vibrating here, I'm hoping. So, but I mean, we won't truly know the results of that until I actually put my built engine on here. So we shall see in the future. Okay, so sorry about the delete and re-upload, y'all, but it's been a week and I've already found a couple ways to improve this thing, so I just want to share that with you. One of those ways is with this removable brace here. We've already got this brace on one side, but I thought that it was sort of lacking one on this side, so just quickly made that. And once again, like, I just remove these nuts, this pulls off, put the nuts back on, obviously to keep the wheels on, and that way I can still sort of slide it underneath the engine hoist or an engine stand, but then I can put it back on just for some added rigidity. And then also went ahead and drilled some holes for the motor mounts, and I got some super high grade. I got a 10.9 grade bolt there, and then on top here is a washer that's actually from the top of like a shock like a shock bushing. So definitely meant to withstand some force there for sure. So that's cool. All right, thanks for watching again if you already watched the first version of this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this quick, fun little video. And if this was helpful for you, please let me know in the comments below if you end up using this Cradle for your 7M, or if you end up buying this Cradle to modify for another engine. I want to know. I'm curious. And also, if you thought this video is over way too quickly and you want to see more of me, well, do not forget that today, just a little bit of time at 3:30 Central Time, Texas time, Danny and I are going to be doing our next automotive book club live stream. This time it's going to be on his channel though, so go ahead and click the link in the description below to get to his channel. Or if you're watching this a little bit later and you miss our live stream, no big deal. I'll also include the link for that video in the description below. I'll just replace them once that's over. So I look forward to seeing you there in the live chat, and if not, I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Hi, Abby. Hey, Ferd.